Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in to Ginsomnia Nights. And in case that's a greyhound in your hand, pleasant morning to you, I suppose. But in any case, welcome to our first live episode. As always, except for Sundays, I am M. Jack Pacheco. And tonight, I have two pleasures. Well, besides this drink that I'm holding in my hand right now. But firstly, I have the pleasure of introducing to you one of my oldest friends and drinking buddies from college, with whom I have turned many tables with. Many tables, bottles, buckets, joints, and frowns. And he had actually previously guested in this show, but in case you weren't around for that, let me introduce to you to the delightful, the winsome, the fellow who looks like he has come straight out of a Head and Shoulders commercial, and Angela's better half, Mr. Jerem Sanuan. Good evening, man.
Hello, good evening, Ginsomnia Universe. Finally, I'm here.
How are you
Pleasure
doing
talking to you,
this
man.
fine, cold night?
Malamig, pero kaya naman natin tiisan with a suit and a shirt
Quite the weather we've been
and
having,
a
huh?
beer on hand.
Mhm.
It is.
But, speaking of the weather, I'm actually glad you're here with me tonight. Jerem, somewhat apropos too, as tonight's the night I finally switched back to gin after 3 months of uneventful tonic-free nights, but especially because I want
Mm.
you to check out my second pleasure for tonight, which is of introducing to our listeners the person responsible for bringing the two of us together those many years ago in that first film class. He is known to many, but besides him being our Artesia Films 1 and 2 professor back in film school, he is a writer, the author of The Media Kit, a frame-by-frame guide to visual production. Sorry, he is a scuba diver, a husband, a father, and from what I hear, a devil's pair of hands in the kitchen. Ladies,
Wow.
Gentle, and Jerem, without further much ado, joining us tonight for a little gin and repartee, the charming, the eclectic, the incomparable, the redoubtable Mr. Jose Antonio Garcia,
Antonio Garcia,
as he is known to us, Sir Jack. Good
Sir
evening, Sir
Jag.
Jack.
Hi, guys. Wow, I thought you were gonna run out of adjectives there, but
I
yeah,
hope I got it
thanks
all.
for having me, and good evening or good morning wherever you happen to be in this world. Uh, Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for having me here, boys. It's been a while since we've seen
It's
each
been a
other,
while, sir.
and
It's been a while.
It has.
it's great, and thanks for having me. I didn't know it was your first live, so I'm touched.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it has been a while,
So
especially
yeah, let's do this.
since the last time we were speaking to Sir Jag. Sir Jag here forgot to record audio, which is
Ah,
partly the reason why we're doing this live right now.
I don't forget to to click record.
So anyway,
It's
how are you,
okay.
Sir Jag? It's been a long time indeed. How are you doing tonight?
Things are what's it? It's been about a month and a half since the last time that we'd seen each other, and things have things have gotten busier. In
Mhm.
that time, school started today, so we're back. We're on. The on it's a full online term, so things started today, and it's still a little quiet. People still kind of getting settled in, but things are starting to happen. It should get really frantic in the next couple of weeks.
It is.
But
Actually, it's the
well, for first time for
first time for online schooling, no? For Benilde.
How do we put that? Well, yes, I mean, yes, definitely it's
It's
the first
nice.
time, no, but last term, during this transition from the end of the previous term and this term that started today, we had an online term already.
The vault. I think
Yeah,
it's
the
the
vault,
vault.
yes, vault. But
The
that
vault.
was that was 8 weeks, and I guess you could say the way it's kind of experimental. It was. I mean, at the end of
It
the
was.
day,
It
yes.
really.
But it was also a chance to finish fairly easier subjects. So not very many majors were offered,
Mm.
mostly gen ed. A lot of the students took the time to finish these lecture-based classes. But this term it's a full 14 weeks. So
Yay.
yeah, for reals.
Buckle up, everybody in Benilde. I wish good
Yeah,
luck for all the students.
it's that.
but
It literally, yeah, buckle up. It's
for the lesser half that don't know you, Sir Jag, would you like to formally introduce
yeah.
yourself and who you are and what
Yeah.
you do and the many a work you do?
Wow. Yeesh, okay. I'm not a big fan of talking about myself, especially
Mm-hmm.
introducing myself. But uh, uh,
Got you.
I guess
Got you.
ultimately, I'm a teacher. I mean, it's even before I started to formally teach. I was I my friends and I had put up our own production studio when I was a sophomore in college. So after a few years, of course, get the experience, and then I started to be the one to train our new editors, our new staff, our new I was the trainer. I always seem to have taken up on my shoulders to become the trainer, and one small fact is, in fact, um, the only reason I finished my degree was because I
Mhm.
wanted to teach formally.
Wow.
And of course, the basic requirement in teaching in college was a college degree. So I finished. I went back to school to a thesis na lang kasi. So I went back to finish my thesis, and shortly after that, I started my master's degree. A teaching post at Philippine Women's opened up, and I taught there for one semester. And then shortly after that, a teaching post in Benilde opened up, and I've been there ever since.
Wow.
So so basically that's it. Always been some sort of teacher. I've always been some sort of uh, sharer. So this pandemic, when during the lockdown, I ended up I started doing free lectures just for the heck of it, just because I
Wow.
needed to get my rocks off. Mga ganon. Walang school so I just had to get my rocks off. So there.
So how is school doing right now amidst this pandemic? You
First day, bro.
talked about you said you were doing online classes.
Yeah, we'll be doing online classes. Um, I mean, how do we put it this way? The good thing is, and this is not just because we're Benil, but the good news is that for the most part, compared to most other schools, we had it not had it. We survived pretty well. This whole lockdown, the first 3-4 months, 5 months of this whole lockdown is we were able to swim. We didn't sink. Um, all the investment that the school made in Big Sky, in training, and all of that in the past
Yeah.
years,
In all the platforms.
on all the paths, paid off. I mean,
Paid.
That's
suddenly,
nice.
we didn't have to turn over 100% of our faculty. We did not have to look for a learning management system overnight. It wasn't like that. Everything was in place. So what we had to do, the challenges that we had to do in the short term, was to ramp up the rest of the school. I mean, the teachers that did not pick it up right away, because it was optional. So
Yeah.
those that didn't really pick it up now kind of had to be brought in. I'm not, of course, it would be plastic to say that it was pure bliss.
Yeah.
We've had to tighten our belts drastically, and
Yeah.
it's not the cheapest school in the country. So even if your teachers are prepared, if your students are unable to enroll because of unemployment or even internet connections or something, then that's the other side of the spectrum. So again, so luckily we've been very lucky with regard to being ready to deliver education online, but it doesn't mean that we got away scot-free.
Yeah.
It's a pretty wounded
Yes.
school.
Ah.
If we went back to school tomorrow, you would be seeing a lot of people no longer there.
Oh my God, but you know what, sir? Benil as an institution, it will always has been a very adaptive one. Kasi ang Benil very systematic and integrated. So nung nagkaroon ng pandemic, it's given. Pero Benil is already in the forefront of being integrated and systematic in terms of education. Despite of the pandemic and the clauses na hindi tayo mapunta sa school personally.
But yes. I mean, that is also one of the reasons why, compared to many others, many others, we're good. I mean, to use the metaphor, we're doing more than just swimming. We're not just treading water.
Exactly,
We can
exactly.
actually kind of swim. There are schools that have drowned. As in,
Of course.
drowned,
Yeah.
shut down.
Mhm.
This is straight from the Commission on Higher Education. They have had schools that have asked for permission to not open this school year.
Wow. Lucky for Benilde, sir.
Really?
Lucky for Benilde.
Huh?
Lucky for Benilde.
Yeah, we're lucky, but I guess it's a double-edged sword. It's you have to look at it from the bigger perspective, diba? The income of the school or the operating costs of the school comes from tuition. So yes, you might be ready to offer subjects, but if the students are not ready to enroll, because let's say, a lot of OFWs lost their employment because
Mhm.
of lockdowns and repatriations from their countries.
Yeah.
Especially the OFW.
Jack, I think your parents, or are you based in the Middle East? Your parents are
Yeah.
still there, right?
Yes, sir. I grew up in Saudi Arabia.
Jack.
Right now, they're
Oh,
based
you
in
grew up in
the United Arab Emirates.
Okay, and there have been a lot of jobs that were cut, just like here in the Philippines, that businesses shut down and all of that. So, schools in general are actually a solid business. If you can afford to run your school, you put up a preschool or a small high school or something. If you can afford to run your school for 5 years, your 6th year starts to turn a profit, then you're good. Yun yung business model generally ng school.
Yeah.
This pandemic
Business
just threw
model.
everything out the window.
Sir, partly,
Private
can you
schools,
say...
private high schools, private grade schools, many have closed or have been forced to close because parents cannot afford to send their kids to school. It's simple as that.
exactly.
You can, in many families, the option to move to a public school was a very, very real option because public school is free.
Mhm.
So besides paying, let's say, the difference, say it may sound low to us, 25,000, 30,000 a school year is still different from free education with the public school system. So ililipat yung kids nila doon. Who suffers? The school.
Yeah.
So your beautiful business model of running it for 5 years suddenly just falls apart. And that's all tied to the economy. So it's so intricate. So just because education is education, and then more people pa, isa pa to. Especially the more progressive, the more open, the more middle class and above are starting to see na, this education thing is a social construct, which means that if you are 18 years old, you're in your 2nd year, 3rd year of college, let's say, more or less, diba? You can say, pahinga ka muna, anak. Just because you graduate tomorrow doesn't mean you'll get a job because of the pandemic. Pahinga ka muna.
Do you think, Sir Jack, does that put a premium on private schools can do online classes and adapting to the whole pandemic situation, especially since you said a lot of students are turning to public school?
It's definitely a school that is able to deliver has a huge advantage.
Mhm.
Huge.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, but again, it's not just the ability to deliver. You look at your market bracket, your market segmentation. A few weeks ago, I helped train teachers for CHED Bayanihan project. This was a project of Benilde with the Commission on Higher Education, and basically we gave training in online education, how to teach online. We gave it to schools that could not afford training. So okay na yan, bigay ng Benilde yun, freebie, at zero cost to anybody. But the realities nga of their students, because we had schools from yung mga agricultural colleges in heaven knows where in
UPEL.
Mindanao.
Los Baños.
Los
Baños?
not even the
UPEL?
UPEL. Yes. No, not even Los Baños. We're talking Bukidnon. We're talking Samar. We're talking
Wow.
We're talking literally the corners, the kasulok-sulukan ng country. And but the thing is, kasi the ones I handle specifically were Metro Manila based. So medyo swerte-swerte pa sila.
Ah.
Pero
Yeah.
my other colleagues that handled Visayas and Mindanao teams, for instance, there are these school demographics. For example, ang population ng school is 1,000 students, 2,000 students. That's tiny. That's small. Because Benilde, as it is, considering that we are still relatively a small school, parang ang population ng students natin 12,000.
Mhm.
Wow.
Such a big
So
number.
imagine what 2,000 students means.
Oh my God.
We many schools in Metro Manila, not just Benilde, but many schools in Metro Manila, many private universities in Metro Manila, aircon na yan. Because that's Metro Manila. Aircon classrooms. Many schools in the provinces, even fairly bigger ones, ano yan, luho pa rin yung aircon. Because you're still talking about the demographic, your clientele, the people that come in to study. It's the cost of education. A friend of mine who used to teach in Tuguegarao many years ago, 15 or so years ago, she used to teach there. And she would say, and she was a teacher, she studied in La Salle, she was a friend of mine in masters and everything. So Metro Manila based siya by upbringing. And she went home to the province and was teaching there for a couple of semesters. Hindi lang niya makayanan kasi hindi nag-reconcile yung kanyang urban Metro Manila upbringing with the realities of teaching there. Yun yung mga literal. For us, it's a joke, ha? Doon, literal, binenta yung kalabaw para makabayad ng tuition.
Totoo yun, sir. Nangyayari yun.
Totoo yun.
Something real, right?
Totoo yun. It is. In real life,
Kasi, it's there nga, di ba? Pero, yung when they say kasi na binenta yung kalabaw para magbayad ng tuition or binenta yung kalabaw para mag-aral, you cannot fail them. So even if they deserve to fail, you cannot fail them because it isn't just about whether matalino o hindi yung bata, but there is so much baggage, so much social baggage behind that person. Binenta yung kalabaw, mahirap ang pamilya, kailangan kong umahon sa kahirapan, all of that stuff. So as a teacher, she was finding it very difficult to teach excellence and have standards.
Quote unquote.
Excellence.
Yeah, quote unquote, diba? Standards, excellence. Pero kailangan mo din pala ipasa lahat. You see that. So she after 1 or 2 semesters hindi niya nakayanan. She came back to Manila. It's a different world. It's a very different world out there. So imagine that pandemic style. Imagine a school that even if it wanted to, even if it could operate, might not have the infrastructure or can afford the infrastructure to go online.
Yes. Actually, sir, ang isang mga tanong is like, is it the government's fault for not having the infrastructure na dapat meron tayo in our educational system?
Exactly.
That's a good question. It's not entirely the government's fault. I'm not a fan of the government, but I'm not a fan of the administration. But sadly, there's a lot. But anyway,
that's a whole other topic right there.
No. It's a lot. It goes a lot deeper. You have to think of it in terms of also of let's start with mentality. Remember, I was telling you in Benilde. This is Benilde. And I was with EdTech. I was helping out the EdTech, the Educational Technology Office for a while. I think you guys were still around when I was starting with them. When we launched Big Sky, the learning management system. It was not just about learning the LMS that we launched, but it was about kind of picking up the faculty and then putting them into the next generation of teaching, training, and using tools and technology to teach as a tool. What happened was, because it's still optional. We're not forcing people to shift. A lot of teachers said, I cannot teach online. I cannot use the computer. I do not know this. I am teaching mathematics. How do I teach mathematics using the computer? Whatever thing. So you can understand that there was already a lot of resistance.
Yes.
Our whole lives.
Yes.
I was taught face to face. Your parents, my parents were all taught face to face. All of your professors in college
were taught face to face.
Grew up with the same paradigm. And literally, we had to just turn that over. So over the past 3 or 4, I think, years that we've been trying to sell Big Sky, yes, maraming adopters, maraming lumipat, maraming nag-take up, but still not to the degrees that you would think na when you flick a switch like that, Benilde is full online. Hindi.
Yeah, hindi.
We had to train in the past couple of
So it was
months.
a technical
We had
barrier.
to transition. But, less, even more than the technical barrier, it was the psychological barrier.
Speaking
We had to
solely of
transition
the Philippines.
about 600 faculty in a month, 2 months, month and a half, 2 months, 2 months. We had to transition about 600 faculty. Because, and that's varying degrees. Huh? We had everything from fresh grad, 22, 24-year-old, fresh grad, they're ready to teach. They're your age, they know the technology. And then we had guest special lecturers in their 60s, 70s, ambassadors whose technological expertise is limited to picking up a phone. How do you transition that? So we had to work, and that's Benilde. Benilde literally put what little money it had left into transitioning faculty. But that was Benilde. One of my trainees in higher education, because this bayanihan thing that we did, and take note that the prerequisite was that little or no access to training, and you do not have an existing learning management system. That was the prerequisite to register. Was San Beda.
Manila, sir?
San Beda, Manila.
San Beda is already a university. No longer a college.
San Beda is already a university. Yes.
USB na siya.
Yes, USB na siya. So if San Beda, that's what? An 80-something, 90-something, 100-year-old university. If San Beda needed the help.
The 1920s, if I remember correctly.
90s, if a school like San Beda needed our
I've been...
What more
I've been a student of San Beda.
What more
on my first year?
Let's say Tawi-Tawi Regional Agricultural College.
What
Life
more?
is so different outside the walls of Benilde. So it was humbling. Natatawa nga kasi 1 week, 1 solid week yung investment namin ng oras ng personal time namin. And after that, they were asking for feedback. And I was like, when's the next round? And syempre, the school was like, whoa, teka, chill. Gusto mo pa. I was like, yeah. If I could have helped this 12 people for 1 week, I'd love to help another 12. Kasi nga, it's crazy for everyone.
It is.
It's
crazy.
It's crazy. Would you say that right now in our time of age, do you think this is a shift of paradigm? Not just for everybody, in all process, in all industries, in construction industries, in filmmaking industries, in film industries, in business, in e-commerce. Do you think it's a shift of paradigm?
In every aspect
yes,
of society.
What's really happening right now? It's a shift of paradigm, and we need to be adapted. We need to be adapted.
Here's my fear. Yes, it's a shift. My fear is 99% of the population is not seeing it as a shift.
Interesting.
Ang daming talk. You can just look at Facebook. Yung mga news items that come up, they're saying about business has to adapt. Airlines have to change their business model. Schools have to change. Ang daming ganon. People that think, when I say that, intellectuals, those that have thought about it, really sunk in, understand that tomorrow, if the virus disappears tomorrow, life has changed for us forever. The 99% of it, and that's my fear, the 99 or the 98% of it, do they understand that that's how it has to be? Because I'll go back to teaching. Go back to teaching. Slowly, very slowly, some of our more traditional teachers are seeing that, the stuff pala that I used to do, the traditional stuff I used to do with the chalk and blackboard, it does not translate pala online, but the kids learn pa rin. Okay?
Exactly. That's actually what I was going to ask. Like, how does that
Yun.
work, logistically, especially since you're now teaching an online classroom? Like, how does that work now that you're teaching to an online classroom
Let me
as
tell
opposed to traditional?
this is my contention as an online teacher. I've been an advocate of this for now. Technically, the only difference between you teaching in your classroom live and you teaching online is the camera. There should not be a difference. There should not be a cognitive difference. But of course, it's not as simple as that, no? Here's my question to you, either of you, Jerem or Jack. How much do you actually remember from my lectures?
Well, Sir Jag,
Actually,
I
I
actually remember a
Madami
lot.
was a dancer. Oh,
No.
CJ, we remember a lot because I think we can all agree here, along with our producers, that
No, you
were
guys are
our
bullshitting me.
favorite. You're always big.
You're shitting me. No, okay. If I ask you right now, I lectured about kasi para madali na lang, mise-en-scène. There were 4 general elements of the mise-en-scène. What are they?
The feel.
There's the acting, direction, sound, and okay, I give up. What is it? What's it?
It's not that. But you guys know how to production design your videos. Even if it's a simple, live chat like this, or a podcast, you know how to production design it. You know what
exactly.
You know what goes in and what is. That's what I mean. You know it's the mise-en-scène. That's what I mean about that paradigm shift in education. What very slowly, some professors, some teachers are starting to figure out that it's not about you talking 24 hours like that in front of the camera or in the classroom. It's the core knowledge that you're transferring. So if as a teacher, you get that snaps, that's it. So now I don't lecture in front of you the way I would lecture in front of a live class or write on the blackboard. I would give you the materials or the content or the PowerPoints or the topics or what the concepts, the core concepts that you now deal with. And now we talk about it. We discuss the paradigm, the methodology shifts. But the way the knowledge gets built is actually not that different. So the scary thing is, this is the scary thing now, which I think a lot of teachers are not vocalizing or a lot of schools are not verbalizing, is that when properly done, you will realize that in many cases, classroom learning is bullshit.
How so?
Because you are required in Benil, it's 14 weeks. In a semestral system, it's 20 weeks. 20, not 14. 20 weeks. Isipin nyo yung term na you'd sit through my lectures and you're like, good Lord, when is this going to end? Add another 6 weeks to not funny, right? It's not funny. So the mentality in many educators is that let's fill in the gaps. Heaven forbid, and many schools are like this. Your contract is 3 hours a week. You had better be yakking your trap. You better be giving these kids something to do from 8 a.m. until 11 a.m. 3 hours. Pag 1 minute off ka, lagot ka. See, that's so what am I going to do as a teacher? Oh, I'm going to just bombard you with crap. I'm just going to give you concept after concept for 3 solid hours. And then, bam, we'll do it again next week. And we'll do it for 20 weeks. I don't give a shit if you learned anything. But give you an exam. Give you an exam.
We actually learned that concept from you, Sir.
Diba? Okay? But what did I tell you on the first day of Digifilm 1? Of our basic video course, diba?
If I remember this correctly,
if you don't want to get out, shift form.
Yeah, Sir Jack was like, oh guys, so this is the first day. Baka
Get the shifting
shift. No? Fashion design na lang kayo.
Okay, aside from that. No. Remember I said that everything you need to learn about filmmaking, you could learn in 2 weeks. And again, you don't need to go to film school to be a filmmaker.
You don't have to go. Yeah, exactly.
Actually, I am learning
even
that.
Our best filmmakers, even Direct Joey, diba? Learned it on the job. He learned it because he processed concepts. He learned it because he did. So if you ask him right now to name the 4 elements of mise-en-scène, he probably cannot or he probably won't. But he knows it. And that's what education is about.
He knows it.
That's what
About
education
experience.
should be about.
Yun. Mm-mm.
Not about memorizing and itemizing. Number one, it's like this. Number two, it's like that. And many schools, especially those that are regulated, let's say law schools, engineering schools, especially the smaller ones, are forced to train their students like that.
Mhm.
Because from the government side, even Benil, with our architecture program, you are given 3 chances to get to hit. Diba my bar exam, let's say for law or architecture board exam, if you hit below a certain percentage of passing, let's say you have, I think 70% or 60% passing rate. If you hit that 3 times, let's say 59% si Benil passing rate, 58. You hit that 3 times, they shut down your program.
That's
My God.
So reconnect that now to, don't go to UP, don't go to Ateneo because they can afford good law teachers or at LaSalle. No, go now to this tiny itty bitty law college in the middle of
Visayas.
Pototang Iloilo in the Visayas. In Pototang Iloilo, they don't have a choice. They cannot afford some retired judge to teach them. They cannot afford some kick-ass lawyer to be their dean. They're going by. So what do they have? What are they forced to do? We will train you not to be a lawyer, not to be a defender of the law. We will train you to memorize what's going to come out in the bar exam. Because when you pass, we pass.
We pass.
You figure it out on your own. Good luck
Isn't
na
that
sa'yo
very specific?
after.
Though? Isn't that very specific? Doesn't that create
The
this
what?
whole pool of specific students and with specific teachers specifically teaching a very specific subject, very specific syllabus, if you will.
It does. I don't want to. I'm sorry if I'm sounding like I'm disparaging so many schools in general, but it's a big system. For instance, a school is regulated by, let's say, a law school or an engineering school is partially regulated by the Philippine Regulation Commission. They're answerable to
PRCC.
the PRC.
PRC.
Nursing schools and all of that. So the PRC, being professionals, is going to set a certain standard, right? The thing is, I'll translate it into a language that you guys are more familiar with. For example, let's say the film industry says you should know how to use a 4K camera, okay? Whether it's a Red or it's an Arri, Alexa, or whatever. This is our requirement. Marunong ka gumamit ng 4K camera, may 4K workflow. Can Benil afford a 4K camera? We can't. If we can't afford it, what more for some school in the Visayas or
yun na yun.
So
the analogy.
So I cannot. So this shit now. So if I'm supposed to pass, if you're supposed to pass and get your license from the PRC, I'm going to do whatever it can just to teach you how to do the workflow for the Alexa, even if you've never held it before. Even if I get a box and call it an Arri Alexa, you guys will. Yun lang. But that's all you know. You can't light. You can't write worth shit. You can't manage. But you know how to do an Alexa.
Yeah. Actually, it's funny na we have colleagues na nagmo-mobile fund pa after graduating just to be in the forefront of know how to operate the Alexa, the 4K compatibility of everything.
But again, that's the personally, I think that's the trade-off. It would be great if your school can afford equipment, but more importantly are the core concepts, because when you guys were freshmen, the Arri Alexa was the shit. 4K.
Yeah,
no, it's not.
Let's get it on.
Is there a new shit right now?
It is. I mean, there's 8K.
Yeah.
Wow. 8K.
So your 4K workflow has just gone to crap. There's not 8K. So if a school continuously tries to keep up with technology, talo yung business model,
talo yung investment.
Talo.
Here I was, I was still using 1080p. I was still using H4n.
Oh, so let's say you go to CMB. You work at CMB as a camera operator, and they assign you to, or you work for Regal, let's say, on a film project, and they're gonna shoot on 4K,
for example.
I learn the camera But if you know how to use the camera, whether you're using a Nokia phone or an Alexa, you will be a fantastic cameraman. It's not the Pana, it's the Indian.
Yeah, exactly. That's the best quotation in
Indian,
ko
not the
in
Pana.
film school. Yeah,
It's the
I
Indian, not
always
the
say
bow
that.
and arrow.
You know what, hindi
You
lang
know,
sa
actually, Sir
film
Jed,
ko na ano eh. Hindi lang sa film ko siya nailagay. Like in different business aspects of my life, nilagay ko yun. It's not the magpapana. It's not about the pana, it's about the archer. And
the user.
I like that analogy.
You know, actually, I was thankful that Benilde had really outdated cameras, Canon, 50D or 30D or whatever, and we use
Or the
Zoom
XHMC
H4M,
Panasonic.
and we use this really shitty dolly system, the spider dollies. Because for me, it translated into it's an obstacle, it's a difficulty that you have to get over. It's something that you have to get over just to get across your story, just to do your film. And it's very educational, I would say.
Remember
There's
your
learning
first
with surprises.
exercises? I made you use that. Yeah. But remember those exercises that I asked you guys to do with that really crappy HMC camera?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Bullshit. Grabe ang
Yeah, those are the times. That's how Jerem and I actually met.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Diba? So you guys a couple now?
You could say
We
that.
can
You
say.
could say.
In a parallel universe, it might be the case. Are you a science guy, Sir Jag? Ano lang.
Am I sorry?
Ibang topic.
Am I a
Are you a science guy?
science guy? Yes, I am.
Are you a nerdy in terms of science? Like the Neil deGrasse Tyson kind of nerdy.
Well, I don't know if I'm a Neil deGrasse type, but yes, I am a science nerd. My favorite science is chemistry.
Wow. Oh wait.
I was the shit at high school chemistry.
The 1P S1, is that it? 1S.
Yeah, oh, that was in my head. That was nothing. That was like
I
one
see
P
it.
two S1. Nothing. That was nothing. I hated physics though.
Being a science guy, sir, namamanifest mo ba siya sa mga not most daughters? Because I see na you have 2 daughters, two
Yes.
lovely daughters.
Thank you. Do I manifest it? I guess I do. I love to explain to them how things work. And whether it's astronomy or geosciences,
Physics.
marine sciences, even physics. I don't for the life of me remember the formulas anymore, other than distance problems. But yeah, I because again, sorry, it goes back to the teaching thing. I understand the concept. I understand the concepts. So that's what I share to them. I explain the concepts. I explain, for example, when something happens like this, it's because something like that happened with it. The other day I was fixing some lights, some house lights. I was fixing wiring. I ended up teaching my elder daughter, about simple circuits.
Nice.
Ganun lang. And not because I want her to be, or not, just it's there. It's not. It's something that will stick in her head. Hopefully, if she needs to change a light bulb, she doesn't need to call 10 men to help her.
Exactly.
Useful nuances in life tend to be make.
Are you a fan
So-
of Elon Musk, sir? Are you a fan of Elon
Am
Musk?
I a what?
A fan of Elon
Fan of
Musk. Elon Musk. The Tesla guy?
Elon Musk. Elon Musk. That's a good question. Am I a fan of Elon Musk? I guess yes. I'm not a fanboy. I will not giggle when he comes out on screen. But there is a lot of solid stuff that he does, and it's not because of the science. It's actually because of the non-science part of what he does. He's a very good.
Actually,
He's a very
even
good
I, sir,
example.
I'm a fan.
No, it's related to what's called design thinking. I don't know if you guys have heard that, but with
Design thinking, yeah.
So it's not so much that he's a design thinker. Yes, he does, but it's not that. It's more of how can we change something, and he's not afraid to think. He's not afraid to try it out. When everybody else would say that's gonna fail, he's gonna say, let's give it a go anyway.
Oh.
And if we fail, good. If we don't, surprise, surprise.
Oh.
So that's what I. Yeah.
But then again, I feel as though these things that he do, these are just whims of someone who has money, the whims of a rich man.
No, I don't think so. I think Elon Musk is a Renaissance man. Renaissance man si Elon Musk, because he's a revolutionary in terms of like putting us in a world na mababa ang CO2 emission. Putting someone in outer space is a big deal. It's a thing to have in your time. It's a cool thing to have in your generation. And I myself have the age of Elon Musk. I might say na thank you Elon Musk because you're giving us this kind of wonderful things, cool stuff, science stuff.
I think it's yes, that's very true now. But also look at it this way. Yes, he's got a lot of money. And the fantastic thing is that the money is being put into things that nobody else can afford.
Human
welfare. Tesla. Yeah, let's look at Tesla as a thought, as an idea.
Tesla.
The idea of a battery operated car is not new. It's decades old. Decades before you were born, meron ng mga battery operated car.
Existed since as long as H.G. Wells and.
Yes, yeah. But the ability to make it a reality rested in a handful of people who had the kind of resources. Governments also, but not the governments have other priorities. So what Elon Musk was able to do was to take it, to finance it, and to allow the business model to finance itself.
The ROI fuels the business model.
ROI. So because nothing can, yes, you can be magnanimous, you can be philanthropic about things, but at some point maubos si pera, or it just doesn't make sense. But he was able to make it go, and it runs. And the Tesla now as an automobile company is a very sustainable business. But the success of Tesla as an automobile company has led to the success of Tesla as a battery company. So a friend of mine, and for instance,
they're in partner with Panasonic, sir, in terms of battery ion.
Oh no! For example, a friend of mine who deals with solar energy. They're not solar energy for the house, solar energy in a large scale for cities and towns. Ang battery packs nila are Teslas. So this is industrial level. Iba yung presyo nito. This is not a $50,000 car. This is a $50,000 battery pack, and I need 30 of them. Ganun yung scale nun. So Tesla is able to do that, and it's not just because Elon Musk has the money. It's because he has money, but his money allowed him to tell his staff, to tell his idea generators, to tell his think tanks, huwag kayong matakot mag-isip.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to dream. So that when they dream now, it's like, what if we stick a banana, we stick a battery into a banana? What would happen? 99.9% of the people in the world, people with control, people with money, are going to say, no, that's bullshit. That's not going to work. But he's the type of person, of leader, who's going to say, okay, sige, go. Ano nangyari? Wala, sir, boss. Bad trip.
Wala, di kaya, bad trip.
If only we can all afford, think tanks and stuff like that.
But we can. We cannot afford to send people into space. We cannot afford what Elon Musk affords, but we can afford to stop being boxed up by what people and society says is hindi pwede. And I think that's why I'm a fan, because I'm a design thinker. I'm a design thinking advocate. So the concept na hindi pwede, or this is how we do things, or this is how we've always done things, has stopped people before they even came up with ideas.
And that has
yung perfect project.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Yan din na-notice ko sa majority of the Filipinos. They don't know how to be initiative or like hindi nila
just
manifest
Filipinos.
yung aliens nila. Yeah, I'm sorry for generalizing Filipinos, but
Yeah, but
I'm a Filipino and the least that I can talk about is Filipinos.
yeah, but again, it's because society has kept us from doing that. Remember that from kindergarten, from nursery, from the first day of school, all of us, including me and my parents, you were taught not to fail. Diba?
Mhm.
When you got a failing grade, when you got a mistake, it was a bad thing.
It's a
Design
bad thing.
thinking
Palo ka
Suppose
lang.
actually
that's
tells you to
very
fail.
Palo ka
Asian
lang.
of us.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
very Asian. It's but it's very it's very human. Our educational system has taught us not to fail. That is why when you don't want to make a mistake. But what design thinking teaches is that you're supposed to, and I'll use the mantra, fail fast, fail often. Because you
I
actually
like it.
only learn when you fail. But you're supposed to fail fast. Don't build a car and drive it and find the wheel to come off. No. Build a prototype, build small, fail small. Fail right away. Ilang tornilyo para makabit yung gulong para hindi malaglag. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 5. Next. You know what I mean? So, but institutions, companies, businesses, leaders, individuals are so afraid to give that kind of leeway to fail. Kailangan tama agad, perfect agad when you ano. That's why that's why you have 1,000,001 apps that nobody uses. Because it sounds fantastic on paper, but people just don't use it. Did you know, for instance, that before Instagram became Instagram, it was a social media app that did everything that Facebook could do. Messages, PM, all of that. Ang dami niya nag notes. It could do notes. It could do blogs and all of that. And nobody used it.
Because we're not ready for
What
it. Just
people
like
started
PSP.
to use. There you go.
Just like PSP.
No, I
PSP
sort
is
of
like
feel
late
like
reference time.
I sort of feel like that everything nowadays is just a copy of a copy of a copy. Like everything does the same function, but
Natural
different.
I think that's natural. That's natural. Natural yan. It's very natural in our reality na you copy and you copy and you copy. Kasi permutation
Copy and
and
paste.
everything, yeah.
But when you copy,
Sir Jag is what saying Sir Jag kanina is a design activist ba sir or like a design guy?
design thinking.
What
I'm a design thinking advocate.
I have this thing back then in nagpunta ako sa library ng Binild. Ang Binild kasi they have a huge variety of books sa library nila. Napakadami in terms of design, lahat nandun. When you design something daw, just for example, a drone. When you design a thing daw that flies, parang kailangan medyo mukha siyang ibon, something like that. Just like in our airplanes, like Boeing and Airbus. Yung design nila, minamanifest nila how eagle lands sa isang puno. Is that how design really works? We have to get something from the nature, tapos gawin namin, integrate it to something na gadget.
Let's use the airplane as a let's use the airplane as the same ano. This is how design thinking works. For at that point in time, for 50, 60 years, all airplanes were birds. Diba? You have a central body and you have wings. Okay? That is how an airplane flew. And you had a propeller that
Propeller.
Thrust. Now, if any person who knows basic aviation or basic flight sciences also knows that there are 4 forces: thrust, gravity,
lift,
drag, and lift. Lift is what brings us up. Okay.
Bernoulli's principle.
This is what conventional thinking is. Okay. Conventional thinking says, for your airplane to fly, you have to have wings. And this is what wings look like. Okay, ganyan, wings. Right? This is design thinking. Design thinking says, it encourages you to do this. What if hindi propeller ang umiikot? What if ang umiikot to cause lift is the wing.
It's the wing.
Ano? Pag ganun? Like wings ng bird? No.
Mm.
Pati paikutin mo yung wings. That, ladies and gentlemen, eventually led to the innovation and development of the helicopter.
Helicopter. Wow.
Because the helicopter they call it a rotary wing because it is the wings that cause lift. And where are the wings of the helicopter? It's the blades.
Middle blades.
It causes, yun yung wings niya. The shape of the wing of the helicopter causes lift, which causes it to go up and fly. Kaya nakatilt ang helicopter to fly forward. Because the wing is tilted. And there you
same
go.
Principle goes with the DJI. Same principle with the DJI.
Yes, exactly.
The drones.
So it does not have to look like, I mean, that's conventional. It has to look like this. What design thinking challenges developers, solution providers, thinkers is what if subukan nyo lang.
Mm-hmm.
Kasi if you fail, then you know it doesn't work. But if you build the whole thing, and we've seen those old videos, those old black and white films of airplanes that they flap the wings and it fails.
The Wright brothers
The Wright brothers were able to do it because they did something different. So
are you
it's
an
trial
Airbus
and
fan
error.
or a Boeing fan?
It's failing. It's failing fast and failing often. And that's where successes come in, and that's where the modern successes. And what's really nice about design thinking, it's really catching on. Even with kids, they're teaching it to kids now in preschool and grade school. They're teaching the processes because it's brilliant.
It is. Sir, are you a Boeing fan or an Airbus fan?
I am a little more Boeing.
You like
a little
the
more
skunk,
Boeing.
the skunk works.
I am a skunkworth, yes.
Yeah.
Lockheed Martin yung skunkworth.
Lockheed Martin. But US. They are the US people guy. US people guy. They are Boeing.
Not necessarily.
Lockheed Martin.
Yes. Between Boeing and Airbus, I'm a fan of Boeing.
Sir, have you flown the 747? In any case, Nepal, the Queen of Skies.
I've flown in. Yes, I have. I've flown in a 7%. I have had the good fortune of sitting in the top of the first class.
Yeah,
in a 747.
Wow,
that must be something.
That was an experience.
That was something. That was nice. That was.
So do you
But
drink?
Sir Jag,
Do you drink sa airplane? When you're traveling, do you drink sa airplane when you're traveling?
Yeah. Who doesn't?
Yeah, who doesn't? Exactly. What are you drinking right now, sir?
Who does? What I'm drinking now. I'm having whiskey.
Whiskey. What whiskey?
What I would give to be having.
No, this is
that
just a
drink right
Johnny Black. This is just a Johnny Black.
now. Yet here I am.
Yeah.
The only thing I
Sir, you're a
afford
fan of
is
whiskey.
my cats.
Pag ganito, I prefer whiskeys. I like cocktailing the gins though.
Gin tonic.
Yeah, gin tonic or ginger ale. But I'm actually ultimately a beer person, and I love my craft beers.
We all are.
Oh yeah.
Heavy, dark,
Encanto.
heavy stouts. Not really.
Stouts. Oh my god, long
Encanto.
stout.
Sorry,
Oh my
Encanto.
god.
Not impressed. Sorry.
Not impressed with Encanto.
Not
I
a
think
fan
Encanto
of
is like a
Encanto.
millennial thing.
Okay. Sorry. Okay, boys and girls, if you want to do. Oh God. Okay, boys and girls, if you're gonna be doing poblacion, or if you're gonna be doing craft beer anyway, okay, I highly recommend the Procrastination Pale Ale of Pedro. If you want it a little lighter, yes, take it down. Pedro Brewery. Their
Jeremy really is
their-
writing.
their PPA is the wait. Give me a second.
Yeah, here we go. Now we're talking about beers, baby. Beers is the elixir of life. And you know what? Filipinos, they really love their beers. San Miguel Pintos and always the best.
You know what?
Best beer.
You know what? I'm gonna say this though. I've been around the world and I've tasted a lot of beers,
Pedro.
but
That's
Pilsen still is the best beer ever.
Sorry, buddy. Sorry, gotta pop your cherry on that.
No?
No. Then this one's really good also.
Pedro is the shit? Okay.
Yeah, this stuff is good. I am also an...
Pero sir, bakit gusto ng mga foreigner yung beer ng pale? Why do foreigner loves it?
Okay, why do foreigners...
Sa Pilipinas, they love
That's the only thing I can say, man.
the best beer ever.
No. The reason why foreigners, especially Americans, like pale is because, my God, have you guys tried Budweiser?
Budweiser, yeah.
I don't like to start anything.
garbage.
I don't like to start.
No
Oh my God, did I just say that on live internet? It's garbage.
Yeah. You're gonna go viral on it if ever. Some
Even
people
it's
random
garbage.
guys saying Budweiser.
In general, American commercial beer. I mean, let's not be mean to the whole American beer industry. In general, it's ano. And I'm not talking about the Coors Lights and the Bud Lights and the lights. No, not like just like a San Mig Light. San Mig Light is all water. You're paying for water. Don't fall for that shit. Sorry, San Miguel, isa pa kayo. It's heavily filtered, watered down, whatever. So imagine you're growing up with this fairly, it tastes like beer and you're happy with it. You get drunk and all of that. And San Miguel Pale Pilsen is actually very flavorful compared to most Western commercial beers. Now, to be fair to the Americans, their system, their culture, their environment, and their penchant for experimentation and playing around, tinkering around in their backyards has also given birth to a very huge backyard brewery industry. Mm-hmm. That's where craft beers came from. In fact, did you know, back in the 80s and the 90s, you could go to Costco and you can buy this bag. It's a bag, parang yung mga 5 kilo bag ng rice, more or less like that.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It contains everything you need to make beer. Yes, you pour in hot water or something like that and you let it ferment for several weeks. After that, you had beer in a bag. You made your own beer at home. And wala, I mean, for people to do that here in the Philippines, ikukulong ka.
Oh,
pero
puta, moonshine yan.
That's where the concept of microbreweries came up. And then people started to brew. For example, Pedro, the story behind Pedro is they actually started to do that in their backyard, in the garage. Sa garahe.
So,
they
sir,
played around, gawa tayo ng beer.
So, sir, ano siya, parang artisan movement in a way. It is an artisan.
Yes, it's an artisan movement.
It's an artisan.
Yes.
It's an artisan movement.
So, Pedro started kasi gawa tayo ng sarili nating beer. So,
yung sariling
muna.
The beer defines the people.
Yes.
I like that.
Then, people like the output because you cannot just make a liter of beer. Hindi lang isang pitchel because it takes you 3 weeks, 4 weeks to ferment. So, they were making several liters and their friends liked it. So, we pa-order naman. At some point, they said, Tara, we're making beer every weekend.
Wow.
Put money in.
Put my money in.
And there you go.
Shut up
So,
and take my money.
I highly recommend Pedro. I highly recommend Drop Zone is nice. It's a very light, very especially the ladies prefer that. It's much lighter. It's a blonde. If you're in Bacolod or can somehow score the Dark Hat Stout at the Illusion Brewery, oh my God.
Is this Golden Eagle? Gold Eagle or something like that.
Gold Eagle? Pang ano yun, bro? Pang farmers ata, no?
Gold Eagle pang magsasaka, di ba? Low cost.
Yeah, low cost.
Low cost beer. I haven't had no. I tried it. It's sweet. I got to try it na. It's sweet. Masarap siya.
Sir, do you plant?
Sorry?
Parang nasa personality mo yung nagpa-plant. Do you plant? Do you plant herbs, spices sa backyard? Some backyard builds na mga... Your wife does.
No, I don't plant.
You don't have the green thumb.
No, it's okay, but I don't have the tiyaga for it.
The pain.
I prefer to do things like pickle, to brine, to ferment. Yeah.
Sauerkraut.
So, like just right now before we started, I made sauerkraut. I still have kimchi. I made kimchi the other day.
Woo! Yeah, nag-samgyup po ako kanina. Dinner. Sarap.
Diba?
Someday, thank you.
Now, you know how you keep on binging on that free kimchi at the samgyup shops? Diba? Yung parang you want to run them out of business. Naka-order mo, naka-refill mo ng kimchi. Kimchi is stupidly easy to make. Stupidly
Yes, it is.
easy to make.
Actually.
Cabbage and
So you have that
chili powder.
You have that stash at home, it's in the fridge, panalo.
You
So
know,
there,
you
and
know
then
what?
I make my own corned beef.
You know the guy who introduces me to samgyup is Moses Kim,
Oh,
the great Korean filmmaker in CSB.
the great
Moses
Korean
Kim.
filmmaker. Somebody tag Moses
Oh, no.
here. We have to
So
tag
Moses.
Moses.
Yeah, we have to drag him in the Ginsomnia universe, Moses.
But you know,
Like
Sir
he's
Jag,
drowning
going a little bit off topic since we've
Sige,
talked
go.
about that you worked in CSB in College of Saint Benil.
Okay.
We've also heard that you worked in NCCA. You're a vice chair in NCCA.
Yeah, that was you know, not so much work. I was elected to the National Committee for Cinema. So I was with them for
Couple of
no 3 years. 3 years my last stint, but total of 9 historically, because there was also time I was there with them for 6 years. But yeah, and then in between that and up to now, I still do work with them or for them for different things.
And what work do you do?
Why? What's the
there?
question with the NCCA? Well, different things. NCCA is the National Commission for Culture and Arts, is out to promote Philippine arts and culture. So, because we do not have a Ministry of Culture, a Department of Culture, that pretty much takes up makes up for it. Different things, you know, grants for filmmakers, policy. Right now, we're working on modules for the Department of Education on in my case, filmmaking and media arts. So we're writing modules for them. That's really the kind of work that we do. There's an agency. We're private sector, which means we come in and get off, come in and get off, come in and get off, depending on the projects.
And how's that surviving amidst this pandemic?
Much better than let's say DepEd. That's the reason why NCCA as an agency, as a government agency, already reached out to DepEd and said, "Hey, look, you've got art subjects, you've got music subjects, you've got dance subjects, and all of that. Kami nagagawa niyan." And DepEd is like, "Oh, thank you."
Oh my god.
Because DepEd is run by math teachers and science teachers and English teachers and Filipino teachers. A huge percentage of DepEd from the very top of the totem pole all the way to the bottom are run by those kinds of things. So when it comes to developing modules and materials in the arts and cultures, they're sadly lacking. So it's agencies like NCCA, the other cultural agencies like CCP really come in and try to help out. And that's where we come. Yeah. More questions pa?
What about your and this is actually coming from the producers. They want to know more about your underwater photography and scuba diving.
Wow. Oh, yo, that's a secret fact from Sir Jag.
And I quote,
Pero
Sir Jag seems to be really passionate about it. You know? And
Yeah.
we've stumbled upon your online videos on YouTube about underwater diving and scuba diving, all that.
It's like this. It's probably one of my earliest, if not my earliest memories. I don't even know how old I was, maybe 3-4 years old. I remember being in my grandparents' house and scattered around my grandparents' house were the diving magazines that belonged to my uncle and my dad. My dad went scuba diving, but never when I was born na. I mean, he was no longer diving when I was already born. In fact, yung kanyang wetsuit at the time, I remember playing around with it. It's parang nakatambak na lang sa bahay. But seeing that, and then sakto, it was thereabouts when Jacques Cousteau, he's one of the most famous underwater explorers.
So,
May TV show, there was a TV show, TV document, parang Discovery Channel type that was coming out on TV, and I would watch that. It was pretty fascinating. So it was something that I projected. It was something that I always wanted to do. So when I started to work, and remember I said that my friends and I put up a studio when I was in my second year of college. So I was getting some sort of income. I can't afford it, naman. Like,
But the question is
at
there.
the end of it all, I still couldn't afford it. And then when I started to can afford it, it's already those things that you can afford if you really wanted to. Wala naman akong time. And didn't know anyone, I didn't know where to go. And then, to make a very long story short, literally, my certification fell on my lap. Somebody needed a favor, something that I could fulfill. It was offered, they couldn't afford to pay me at the time, and they said, "Look, we can afford to do this. Are you willing to do it for that?" My thought bubble was like, "Fuck yeah!" And there you go. And it was everything that I dreamt it would be.
Wow.
And that's what I'm passionate about. This wasn't one of those, ay, corny pala.
The burn.
Everything I was, well, galing.
Mm.
So, I still want to be an instructor, truth be told. Just can't afford it.
So technically, sir,
And-
you grew up with the diving suits, mga apparels, mga...
No. I didn't grow up with diving schools. I just grew up with the magazines. Very comfortable ako sa water. I've never been afraid of water. That's the easy part. Water was never my issue, my concern. It's time and money. It's not cheap. That's the truth of it. It's not cheap. But
It's not that safe also. Ako takot ako mag-diving because of like, it's like, medyo mahirap siya. Naka-intimidate siya. It's an intimidating kind of hobby for me.
intimidating is. It can be intimidating. It's really not for everyone. It's for different reasons. Some people takot na sa tubig. Some people takot sa unknown. Some people ayaw lang na maraming gamit. The number of the amount of equipment that you're controlling.
Apparatus? Yeah, apparatus?
Yeah, ayaw nila. Ayaw nila ng ganon. So, but is it scary? Yeah, it scares me. Pa rin.
Scares the shit out of you.
Oh yeah. I mean, when this is the thing. This is what's so fantastic about diving in the Philippines. It's most of the diving you can do, you're actually on a reef, on a slope. So kahit alangalos ng depth mo, meron kang reference, meron kang ground na nakikita. So you get an idea of how deep or how shallow you are, or
the grass.
and you see the ground, you see the bottom, so you're good. But then sometimes you go on a wall, and that wall just goes down forever. So ang ilalim mo, you can see everything below you going from blue to dark blue to black.
Oh my God. Actually, sir, yun yung isa sa mga takot ko. Yung the vastness of the ocean. The vastness of the sea. Hindi ko alam eh. It might be a hole that leads to like, what, the core of the earth? Something like that. Yung vastness, yung nakakatakot sa kanya for me.
It's tricky. I've done when I did Tubataha. Now Tubataha is
Tubataha Reef.
is in
Tubataha
the,
Reef.
yes, it's in the middle of the Sulu Sea. Okay, this is not 1 hour away from Batangas. No, it's 8 hours away from Palawan. Ganun siya kalayo.
Wow.
You sleep on the boat, pagising mo nandun ka. And anyway, the shape of Tubataha is basically it's like this, upside down. Okay, so this is the reef that you're diving, and it's like that in the middle of the ocean. Wala siyang slope.
What?
Okay, wala siyang slope. So when you want to see the big stuff, mantas, whale sharks, tiger sharks, and all of that, you're supposed to be away from the wall. Because when you're diving to Bataha, you're not diving on the top. There's a lot, but it's not what it's about. You dive here. Yan. Now to see the big stuff, you have to go here.
Mm.
And that's that. That
Wow.
just goes down. And yes, it
Down.
even freaks the living crap out of me. I
Mm.
did it. I do it. But I'm like, part of me is like, because it's blue. Nothing. There is nothing around you except blue. If you
Mm.
screw up, or if you don't know where the reef is,
Exactly.
if you because you swam
Wala,
away, diba?
out of orientation ka.
Yeah,
Mm.
nag-disorient ka. If you go like that and you don't know how to go back here, you'll swim there.
Mm.
And there's no going back. And there's current. May currents yan. So when you swim out here and that current takes you like that, you better know how to get back here.
Jeez. You can't find the current, no, sir. Yun lang lagi sinasabi sa amin ng locals
Huh?
whenever I go to Zambales.
Mahirap.
Yun lang lagi nila
In most
sinasabi sa akin.
in most
current.
cases,
Mm.
currents, and that can happen whether you're in Batangas. It's currents. Currents bring fish. Currents are good.
Oh,
It's not, they're not
yeah.
nice to swim. They're not nice to swim on. They're not nice to to swim against. My God, it's exhausting. Pero
Mm.
there was this one time I was
They just let it flow.
yeah. There was this one time. There's this dive site, a very famous dive site in Anilao. That's called Mainit Point, and
Mainit point.
it's Mainit Point. Mainit Point is at the corner of Batangas Bay and Janao or Anilao Bay. Janao Bay.
Anilao Bay.
Janao Bay. Okay, basta the corner yan. And you have the water coming out from two bays meeting. So yung currents dun sa intersection na yan are crazy. Think of a really bad intersection in Makati or in Pasig na walang traffic in. Ganun siya chaotic.
Chaotic. Yun, exactly.
Chaotic. The currents are crazy. The currents are crazy. And many people have gotten injured and many people have died there. No BS about it. There was this one dive that I was doing. It's called the drift dive because you just let the current carry you. You don't fight it. You let the current carry you. And this current was strong. And at some point in time, I was like whoa, I can't control. I don't know where I'm going anymore. Watak-watak na kami yung grupo. So I mean, I could see them in the distance, but still trying to maintain everything, your depth and all that. So what I did was at some point I said, F it. I held on to a rock.
Fuck it. Survival.
I saw a rock coming. Yeah. There was a rock coming up. Because it's kind of, apprehensive din. So you use up more air because you're breathing more and all that. So at some point I said, wait, I have to rest. I saw a rock coming up, medyo blanco na rock. And as soon as I passed it, it's passed under me, it's zipping past, kapit ako. So hold on. And I'm like, this. Okay, my arms are outstretched.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm holding my camera on the other hand. Hinihila ako ng
You're still shooting, sir. You're still shooting.
No, I'm not shooting anymore. I'm just gripping my camera for kasi mahal. And I can't afford it. I'm stretched like that. Hinihila ako ng ano. And I'm just breathing. I'm just like, okay, get my bearings. Where's my team? Where's the rest of everyone? Where are they? What do I do? Where is the current taking me? What do I do when I get there? Ganun lang naman. Okay, I wasn't panicking.
There's no intercom, no? There's no intercom in.
Wala.
Yan ang problema dun. Unlike in offshore or sa land na mga hobby, they have intercoms.
Ito wala. Okay, so when I was okay na ako sa bearings, and I'm probably holding on for less than a minute or 1 minute max. Okay, nakaganyan ako, hinihila ako ng agos and my feet are out. My out like God. That. The current is going this way. So I'm like that. I'm holding on for dear life, and my camera said, okay, so I let go from the rock. Release. Okay. So and then finally turn the corner. I was able to manage the currents and everything. Meet up with the team. Ahon. With the dive was done. Tapos na yung dive. Alright. Pagkakit ko. Cuts. Massive. Hindi ko naramdaman. I was on the boat. Nasa boat na ako. Nakakita ako ng boat. And I'm like, happy. Pagtingin ko na hanggang dumudugo. Kamay ko. Shredded.
Wow.
And I was not moving. I was just nakagrip lang ako sa bato.
You're just gripping it.
Gripping it lang.
I think the current is weighing your body while you're holding on.
Probably. Yun. So it's nice to romanticize the feeling of everything and all that. It's scary, yes, but I love telling the story.
And you live another day, sir. That's why you're telling the story because you live another day. That's why the story is great.
Yung story pa na yun, hindi pa live another day yun. I'm far from death pa ako nun. I've had near
Wala
deaths.
pa yun, sir.
I've had near deaths pa.
Masaya pa yun. Oh.
Pero
That's
pa ako,
crazy. Diving is crazy, actually.
there's been a couple, no, once that I ran out of air. Twice that I ran out of air underwater.
Wow. May emergency naman, di ba, sir? Like, you have double tubs. None? Like, you really have to go up? Like, if you're 50 feet below and you really have to go up for like, what, 20 seconds, 18 seconds? Just to hold your air in your lungs?
Time yun, pero it's the first one, no, that's why you dive with the body. That's why you dive as a team. Kasi that's what other people are there for. If you screw it up or something happens, an emergency happens, may kasabay ka. So I wasn't alone. But the first one was because yes, it was a very exhausting dive, high current. I was doing the wrong thing. I was fighting the current, and I used up more air than the rest of the people. Mabilis ako nakaubos ng hangin. It's like having a drink, diba? Thirsty ka, so mas malakas ang inom mo. Naunahan mo yung kasama mo.
Sir, do you watch F1? Parang
Yeah.
F1.
So
like,
what happened was,
are you F1 something like that?
on my way up, I was really low on air, so I had to share air from one of my buddies.
Colleague.
The second one was medyo mas sketchy. Ubos talaga.
What?
And I was on
Straight down?
Yeah. I was about 40 something feet out. Ubos talaga. But that was my mistake. That was stupidity on my part because I was on twin tanks. I was wearing 2 tanks at the time. And kasi may valve yan per tank. So 2 tanks, 2 valves. Now, a twin tank system has a tank, so tatlo yan. And then may pangatlo sa gitna. That middle valve actually allows you to suck from 2 tanks. And
Kaya mas maganda intake.
Yung bangkero, nasara niya. So, the whole time that I was underwater, I was sucking out of 1 tank lang. Nababakante yung kabila, hindi siya balansado.
Hindi siya balansado.
So, I was sucking that one
buoyancy.
dry. Well, that one I was able to control. That's why hindi ko siya napansin. Na-control ko siya. I was able to compensate. I probably didn't even notice I was compensating. Pero, when I would check my air, marami pa naman. That's because my gauge, the A gauge, was connected to the shutdown one. It wasn't connected to the one that was open. So, na-stuck dry ko yung open, buti, malapit yung body ko, it's out of air. He comes up, gives me his regulator. And then when he surfaced, we sorted it out. Yun pala yun.
I think ang ganda, sir, ng camaraderie between the divers. Your story gives me an insight of it na parang divers have this parang military approach on something na if it's life and death, yo, grab it. Spearhead agad.
In general, no, yes. But yes, you're always looking out for the other person. It's an alien environment for us. So
of course.
You will always, you should. I'm not saying you will, but you should. Ultimately always help out someone else. And syempre maraming kupal, marami pa naman, mayabang kupal ganun. It's an alien
that gear, yeah. It's still in this side.
In fact, law of the sea. Law of the sea is if you drop something underwater and you find it, it's yours.
That's yours.
But if
find your skippers.
If there's a name on it, sinuskali yun. Hinahanap yun, pinopost yun sa community.
Actually, yun yung maganda with the people in who really admire sea, like the surfers, divers.
Yeah.
Ang ganda ng community. It's a very healthy community. Hobbies talaga, as in full-hearted hobbies. I really like the passion with all the people around it. Have you tried surfing, sir?
How's?
Have you tried surfing?
How's mine?
Surfing?
No, I have not tried surfing. Not yet. The closest I've gotten to surfing is wakeboarding. Not wakeboarding, sorry, skimboarding.
Skimboarding.
Skimboarding, yeah. Tried it in Boracay. Fell off. But
Pero hindi talaga, sir, like, hindi ka nag-surf. Even your teenage years. How was beach back then,
No.
back in your teenage years? How was the beaches around? How was the beaches around the Philippines nung teenage years niyo? Growing up in Manila.
Ultimately, it's the same. Mas walang party. I mean, if you're thinking that's whole Boracay
Yeah,
vibe
more
na
like a
party,
chill.
the whole beach is jumping. That wasn't a thing. Yes, there would be beach concerts and all that, but it wasn't a thing. It was really a mid-90s thing with greater commercialization and popularity of the Boracay. The concept of Boracay as the party place, the place to go. Because it wasn't just people went, so the brands went, and because the brands went, more people went, and because more people went, more brands went, and that's what the thing
Branding.
happened.
That's how marketing works.
Yes, pero it's almost unique pa rin, ha? There are, I mean, the Boracay thing is pretty much Boracay only. Everything else is much more low key. Marami na sa kanila or mahaba na sa kanila yung may 1 week festival at the beach. It's not.
Yeah.
We're not as a country. We're not huge on that beach party culture. Other than that, lumakas at dumami yung resort businesses. I still remember. I was going to Boracay every year in the early 2000s for work, and I saw the difference over the years that I was going. Asama pakinggan mo, pero nakita ko yung shift in quality ng crowd.
Oh yeah, of course.
Nakita ko yung shift from a very upscale kasi mahal pumunta sa Boracay.
Back then,
you know what I mean?
It's a luxury to have.
You had to fly to Boracay. It cost money. You had the hotels were expensive in Boracay and all of that. And then you could see that dumami yung parang, wow, ano to, saan galing mga to? Naka-jeep ba to? Yung ganun, yung I'm sorry, I'm condescending, my God, di ba? Pero you saw the crowd, you said, whoa, this is not the crowd from 2 or 3 years ago. This is not that walking barefoot with a bikini top and chill and having a joke and big ass glasses and then you're gonna tugs at night, piña colada. No, naka-dreadlocks, hindi. This was like,
those are ravers.
Damn, man.
Hardcore.
Sasakay ba ito ng tricycle at ng jeep pa uwi mamaya? Day trip lang. Ganun passing crowd. It was starting to get really sketchy. So and that came about because air transportation became much cheaper. Yung mga piso fare ng Cebu Pacific. Dumami yung mga resorts na low cost inside the island. And then you just went to the public beach.
And non-regulated.
So mas lumaki yung crowd. And yes, people, this wasn't anymore the Ayala Alabang crowd that went on. Tara, let's Bora. Hindi ganon. Hindi yung crowd. It's more of, umuwi si kuya or ate kasama ang kanyang puting jowa. Let's all take the whole barangay to Boracay kasi magkano lang naman yun sa dollars.
Fair.
You know what I mean? So there was better money and people came. There was more affluence in general. People came and enjoyed it. So
I think it's a product of the Department of Tourism.
Yes and no.
The way they marketed Boracay back then?
It's not, yes, they were marketing Boracay, but it's also a lot of internet. Especially ang Pilipino, nasa uso yan. Pag uso ang milk tea, pipilahan ng milk tea.
Tangina, milk tea bibilin.
Kasi milk tea yun, uso yung milk tea. Next year, hindi na uso ang milk tea, iba naman. Isaw naman, pipilahan naman yung isaw. It happened for lechon manok, it happened for milk tea, it happened for quickly, it happened for sperry topsiders.
Quickly was one of their
name it.
Yeah.
Quickly is but again, magbubukas ang Uniqlo, pinipilahan. Seriously, people? I mean, seriously, pipilahan mo yung Uniqlo sa Makati, which sells the exact same things ng Uniqlo sa Mega Mall. Pero pipilahan mo yun kasi it's the I have to be seen there. I'm so social.
I think it's the product of social networking. You
Such a,
have
yes.
to have an image. You have to have an identity.
You have to have an image.
And
Ito yung uso. Everybody has to watch it. Lahat kahit ayaw na ayaw mo ng Korean novela, manonood ka kasi uso. Lahat ng friends mo nanonood. It's
clout, just for the clout.
this kind of peer pressure that your teachers in grade school and high school used to warn you about has just magnified because of social media, and you don't even notice it because you're now.
That's a scary thing about it. You don't really notice.
Yes. Oh. Did you know, for instance, ikaw, Jared?
Yes.
Pineapple on pizza or not?
Not.
Not. Did you know who told you that it does not belong? The internet told you that pineapple.
The internet told me that one.
The internet told you that pineapple does not belong in pizza. They told you that this year or last year, 2019. Pineapple has been on pizza since the 70s.
Yeah.
So, bakit ngayon lang magrereklamo ang tao? Kasi sinabi ng internet.
Sir, and the nature of being viral.
Oh, yeah. The virality, cancelled culture.
It's everywhere. It's very rampant.
It's crap. I mean, ultimately, it's crap. So,
in the end of the day, it's crap.
So, it's very important nowadays that as an individual, you're very conscious and you're very, very critical of what it is that you read, you do, you say on social media. And its effects. And it's not just you on Facebook. It's basically how it affects you. Again, just take the very simple example of pineapple on pizza. It's the internet that told you that it's bad. You may have had an opinion about it for years. Will you order Hawaiian pizza at Shakey's? No, because I don't like it. But to
actively lovers,
is internet.
Actually, internet is a very powerful medium.
For good and evil.
Na hindi natin in-expect na ganun pala yung magnitude niya. Yeah, for good. Double-edged sword talaga ang internet. They open a gate, they open a Pandora's box na, it has a good on it and meron siyang bad on it. And I think we see the reality right now kung sino yung naguguluhan, sino yung nawawala sa mismong reality itself. Same accusation with the fake news. People right now don't even know what's real or no. That's the saddest thing about it.
It's a new reality. It's a really new world. So that has to be something that we live with and know how to live with and live by. So, I mean, I'm a victim as well. I'm not going to come up and say na super akong impervious sa internet. No. I'm just as much a victim, and I'm just as manipulated as you are.
Wow. I think it's a very, very meaningful talk. With all the stuff that we tackled, my partner eventually just washed out in the blue. Mr. M. Jack Pacheco is traveling the universe right now. I think he's in a parallel universe.
Oh yeah, the dalawa lang naman yan. Either he's in the bathroom or his internet died, or both. So
yeah. So I think, sir, we wrap it up with all. Oh, there's M.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I've been having audio problems.
This has been a Rick and Morty kind of episode for Ginsomnia.
Rick and Morty.
Okay, but yeah, it's been great. Thanks for having me, guys. Super thanks. It's been great.
Thank you for joining us.
And fun.
Nice seeing you, sir, and having the talk for you is like one of the best things that happened to me in this year. Yeah.
This year.
Bullshit.
That's bullshit.
What I love Sir Jug deep inside my heart, and no one can buy that shit. It's just for me. Kudos for the man. Always. Kudos for the man. Taught me a lot of things.
I bet you say that to all your teachers.
Yeah, for all the teachers then.
No, you're gonna have your bib stud teacher and you're gonna say the exact same thing. Or your polygov teacher or something like that, and you're gonna say the same thing.
Or your algebra X professor that don't give a fuck.
Teacher, they're gonna say the exact same thing.
So, gents, that's been a night for us.
Mhm. Jerem, do you have
Okay.
anything left to say?
I have to say, I think that's for the night, and
That's
we
it for
all,
the
for from the listeners, and for me, I learned a lot from a man, the myth, the legend, Sir Jag. Lupet,
It
always.
has been very educational.
Thanks so much. It's
Thank you, Sir
thanks guys.
Jag,
Thanks
for
for having
It's
joining
a
me.
us.
pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Mhm.
You know,
But
if you want to have me again, it
unfortunately,
gives me an excuse to drink.
oh, yeah, sure. That is all the time we have for tonight. The producers are already, going like this, which probably means that we're out of gin. But thank you for joining us tonight, Sir Jag, Jerem. It has been a true delight.
Guys, Pedro Craft Beer, Drop Zone, Dark Stout
This
from
these guys,
Bacolod. Buy
these
that
guys,
shit. Yeah,
these guys like.
Pedro.
You
Anyway,
know
to
they
the
come in
rest,
2 liter jugs. You can get them in 2 liter jugs and 2 liters
What's
of
that?
this stuff.
Wow. Oh, guys, for the upcoming parties after COVID, you know where to hook up. Pedro's 2 liters.
yup.
All right. So thanks guys
Thank
for
you,
having me. Have a
thank you,
great night.
Sir
For everybody
Jag,
Guys,
listening,
we're
thanks for sticking around.
thank you, Sir Jag, for talking to us. Hopefully,
Yeah.
next time we can do this again.
Just say when.
But for now, that is all the time we have. And tune again next Friday for our regular programming. And before I let you guys go, the producers would have me say to you that this episode is brought to you by Anchor and StreamYard, animated in part by an unnamed Archangel Michael Gin brand. Check us out on
Support them all.
YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and we are also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts,
Apple
and
Music.
Instagram and Google Podcasts and Anchor, of course, and pretty much anywhere else where there's a bottle that needs to be turned.
It has been a
This
night.
has
We
been
guys love you.
Gems and One. Conclusions, last minute things you
Adios
would
for
like to say.
everyone, and thank you for supporting Ginsomnia. Sir Jag, thank you for having the time
Thank
of
you
our
for
lives right
everyone.
now. Thank you for dancing on a gin bottle.
Oh, I
And
missed that
we really
part.
appreciate you.
Mhm.
Everybody will
Shout
get
out,
well after COVID. Just hold on,
shout
and
out to
we'll
our
see each
biggest
other.
fan, Carl Matias,
Mm.
Batasan Hills. Say hi to your mom for us. This has been Ginsomnia Nights, and I'm Jack
Adios.
Pacheco. Thank you and good night.
And I'm Jackson One.
You know
Good
the
night.
rhythm is right.
Filipino.